Hey everybody, welcome back to the Friday edition of the Quantum Show. I have to work tomorrow due to no fault of my own, so I decided to do the show today instead of rushing it tomorrow because that's just no good, or having an extremely late show. So I went ahead and did it today. Welcome everybody to the chat room. Thank you for coming. I got the facial recognition going on. Got Tim, Sarah, Robot Jim, Aussie Tiger, Lynn. Frank is around here somewhere. Hey, Raven. Raven just walked in the door. Awesome. Yeah, I am revisiting some further research into the telepathy tapes. And I got to say, the opposition this lady is having is unfair because a new concept is always a new concept. And I was just watching this one. Link will be in the description after the show. It is about autism and science. Well, he thinks it's magical and misinformation and that these kids are being exploited. And I'm like, no, no, they're not being exploited. They want to talk. And the only reason I am addressing this stuff is because I have that kind of experience, right? I have the kind of experience talking outside my head and being talked to from outside my head and from outside my general area, right? Sorry, the camera's freaking out a little bit. Um, but I finished watching the blog, listening rather. I finished listening to the blog, and it's happening. It really is. I mean, I cannot deny what they have found is true because I have done some of it myself, not the hill. And I do have some notes that I'm going to go over, right? Okay. Apparently, throughout the blog tapes, they were talking about there is more than one hill and they are divided into. So I liken that to subnetting, and they're divided into age groups because over there on the hill, I don't want to say on the other side, but on the hill, apparently there is some organization happening and it is unknown. Now, these are kids, right? It is unknown if it is self organizing or being organized by someone that is also there. It's hard to say. Nobody has mentioned that yet. And I don't think so. I don't think they will. Um, they have been bringing back information about each other. They've been quoting books. They've been able to recite entire books and uh, entire books. They have access to them. And when these kids are given, what they do is they use a letter board because they have their bodies and their speech. They have very little control. They can't talk. They're nonverbal or mostly nonverbal. Links in the description, okay? And they're given letter boards. It's mostly iPads, and they're punching. They call them spellers because they spell things out to get words out. And this has improved in a couple of these kids, right? I don't remember their names. There were two names, John Paul and Austin. Their behavior changed once they realized that people were listening to them. At least one person was listening to them. One was angry and violent. Um, and he was loud. Well, after this started being recognized and this um Kai Dickens started coming around, that's the person doing the I think it's Kai Dickens. Yeah, the person doing hey Rachel. Oh, um shout out Rachel Andrews Flick for the coffees last week. I did not see them. I'm so sorry. I didn't shout you out last time. I'm so sorry. Thank you for that. It goes to cameras, goes to facial recognition, stuff for the show, ghost hunting equipment, you name it, right? Stuff that is show related. Welcome back. And Renee Andrews, welcome back. I'm sorry. I didn't want to deviate. Hey, Cindy. Haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you. Have you listened to the telepathy tapes? I highly recommend it. That's what I'm talking about today. Again, this is part 2 because it's so fascinating. And okay, they're coming back with personal information. Okay, afterlife awareness. One of the kids passed away, and he told the group that he was about to pass away. And he had, I believe it was an aneurysm in a pool or a stroke. That I don't remember. I was trying to multitask at the time. And yeah, John Paul, I believe it was John Paul. So he is now on the other side, still communicating with his friends that go to the hill. All right. Now, is he still bound by the apparent rules of don't tell the living what is on this side? That's something I would like to know, right? They're still, they had a funeral. I believe he got married before he passed away. So I'm thinking that he's still beholden to the same rules that other people who, like these ghost hunters, they say, I promise you, when I pass away, I'm going to come back and tell everybody. Nope. I refer to the ghost whisperer that I can't remember her name at the moment. I can't remember the name at the moment. Rebecca the Ghost Guide. I refer to her from a few years ago. The very end of the show, I wrote aliens, and they said, "Oh, well, we're not supposed to talk about that." And she's been told we're not supposed to talk about the afterlife either, other than they can't talk about the afterlife. They can talk about their past lives, because they're ghosts. Then Rebecca, shout out Rebecca the Ghost Guide. I would like to know if you, Rebecca, have watched or listened to the telepathy tapes, because I think that you might be interested in this. These kids are talking and seeing spirits. That's something else. They're seeing the dead. They're seeing their loved ones. And the ones that John Paul kid that passed away, he was not supposed to, apparently he can't bring back. This is how the afterlife works. He's not allowed to do that, because that seems to be the rule. Because there have been so many ghost hunters and investigators, ufologists pass away. I know spirits are real. Okay. I have zero doubt. Off-world aliens are real. Non-earthers are real. Zero doubt again. So why aren't these people coming back? I only have really alien hearsay, and no one believes me about the cemetery. They just get scared and dismiss it because they can't. I don't know. They can't handle it. It's not for them or whatever, right? But John Paul passed away. He's still in communication with his friends that have learned to do this. Okay, something else, to be able to go and connect, right? They said that they were divinely protected. This I believe. And you have to have unfiltered, you have to have the white light, basically. I've been trying to meditate and get into those states, but I'm super busy, and I still meditate for my own good, right? But it's super busy to get in that kind of state where the light is right there, right? I've it's been one of those things where I do it, and it comes when I most need it. Like the cemetery, I brought it up in the cemetery. The ghost girl. I went. Now this is something I've never reported because nothing really happened. I got bad vibes from this hill out in the country, not the hill, but a hill. out in the country, and there was some traces of bad stuff out there. Me and some friends, this is like 20 years ago, right? Me and some friends out in the hills of Tennessee found some weird stuff. And I was able to turn the light on before I knew what I was doing, right? That was before. And well, nothing really happened. But I had that feeling, okay? The same feeling that, oh, and the light that I'm talking about is, you know, the gospel song, That Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine. I know exactly what they're talking about. Okay. There's no leap of faith to it. I know precisely what they're talking about. And yeah, to get to the hill, you have to use that. And it's not easy. It really isn't easy. And something that keeps people away from it that they were talking about, away from being connected, like people who want bad things. What was brought up was the military industrial complex, vetted, right? I believe vetted brought that up. And they say that their power, these are the kids talking, right? They overpower these guys and they push them out. I would love to visit the hill because I know I have reached out in the past, not to the hill, but to other places. And yes, that stuff definitely does exist. There was, okay, going back, right? Now, mainstream awareness, Joe Rogan and Ross Coulthart. Those two are they're out there. I mean, out there in the mainstream. I don't mean out there like we're out there. I mean, out there like they're out in mainstream television. You turn on your TV and they get quoted, right? They get quoted. They're talking about it. And they're giving credence to the ladies and the parents and the teachers who are gathering all this information. There are a bunch of people who are against these people. Like I said earlier, they say they're trying to exploit the kids. I don't believe they are. And is I should have said this. Is my sound okay? I went back and reviewed the show and I was very low volume. So let me do this real quick. Let me get a correct sound check because I don't know how I'm sounding. I went back and reviewed and I was apparently very low volume. I hope I'm okay. I'm not seeing. Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. Hey, welcome to the show. Have you finished? Did you get a chance? Welcome to listen to the telepathy tapes. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. Alrighty then. I'll go ahead and take that down. I will take that off. I'm glad. Okay. I should have done that at the beginning of the show. Okay, I'm okay at midline. All right. Good deal. Maybe it's my little mixing thing. But they went on to have some other recordings of related topics of the telepathy tapes, right? If there are any questions about this, if you haven't listened to it, put them in the chat and I will do my best to recall any answers because I listened to them straight through. Okay. I almost didn't watch anything else because it's that fascinating that finally the stuff is getting some traction, some exposure. And that one guy saying there are 0 peer review. Well, it just happened because these kids, I believe this is part of this new paradigm coming up where these kids are, I'll say it. I've said it in the past. I don't know if I said it last show, but these kids seem to be an evolutionary step to where we're needing to go. Or they might not be X-Men, but they're definitely light bearers because these kids, they are all the ones that go to the hill. They're all talking about how you have to be in perfect love to be able to go to the hill, else you can't get in. That sounds like my crystal network as well. Now, I'm not using anything like the hill. I'm using a mental construct of my own. And speaking of things like the hill, I wanted to I want to show the kind of thing that I believe they may be, yeah, autism. Autism. Yes. Oh, yes. Listen to the telepathy tapes. Scrolling. Listen to the telepathy tapes. Fascinating with the autism. And Tim is saying, I listened to the part of the tapes the other night, but there was like a 15-minute commercial about my vampire system in the middle. Yeah. And yeah, well, it's worth listening to. Skipping the commercials consciously, for real. Lynn is saying autistics are so often gifted in one way or another, extraordinarily so. No one wants to acknowledge the extraordinary gifts. They were tested for savantism, and it wasn't that. One guy, he was doing a savant test. Now, this made him, not, if not a believer, he collected this evidence for the project. Okay. He was using a regular calculator, right? Just a regular calculator. And he was doing math, like saying like 32 times 121 and things like that, and writing down the answers. It broke. I don't know what happened, but it broke. So all he had a scientific calculator. So he was asking the same questions, but having to use the scientific calculator, and it was spelling out all the operations. You know how a scientific calculator works? And now he was looking at it. He was looking at it while the kid was there, right? And the kid, instead of giving the simple answer, he read out the scientific notation. And the guy stopped and says, "Wait a minute. How did you know the answer was 42?" Because of course it is. But the answer is this. Why did you give me the scientific notation? Did you read my mind? And the kid says, "Yes, I looked at it through your eyes." And that was turned into the project. Okay. Hey, Joe. Awesome. You've been listening. Excellent. Thank you for coming in. Because now I am not on the side of this is magic, this is unpeer reviewed, either one of those sides, right? I have the experience. This is not about this is the scientific method is being used by these kids. Now, the one guy from that one channel, link will be in the description afterwards. I was just watching it. He was saying that there's no peer review. It's never been addressed. You know who also didn't have peer review? Tesla, the Wright brothers. They didn't have peer review, but they did it anyway. So this is how science works, yo. Dude, this is the way science works. We discover an oddity that science hasn't looked at yet. They examine it. And because you are not accepting these researchers, these layperson, these psychologists, teachers, and parents, you're not accepting their word. You need peer-reviewed science people to peer review a report. Let's make that happen. Make it happen. Just because they're not there doesn't mean it can't happen. And he started talking about a bunch of experiments that were done on the civilian side of things. Not once do I remember it. Now, I need to finish that video, okay? But I don't remember him talking about Project Stargate, which was about remote viewing. Why would the government do that? Why would they spend 20 years on this? Or Majestic? Why would they do that? Those don't have peer reviews either, but so many people were involved. They're coming out, okay? But they didn't have peer reviews. So why not? Because it's one of them arcane hidden things that no one wants to admit is real. It's hard for, okay, our society has been shaped since the dark ages, okay, to be what it is today, to be not run by the people, but run by an elite. I say that word lightly. Run by the divine people, the people who have the biggest guns, and like a corporation. I don't say I agree with that, but that's just the way it is. And here we are. And these guys, along with starseeds, crystal children, indigos, we're all doing this stuff on the side. And no one wants to admit there may be a mystical, spiritual component that can be scientifically observed. Okay. Another scientific observation. I hate making comparisons to this stuff because it's not really fair to either one of the comparators, right? You got bumblebees. They're not supposed to fly. Well, they don't fly. They levitate and they harmonize and they reach a synchronicity with their environment. That's how they move around. Their wings are there to make the noise. They have a cavity to amplify and tune that noise. And the wings serve a dual purpose of moving air around to get them where they need to go. Right? Bumblebees, the big ones with the tiny wings, they're not supposed to fly. Okay. And I believe that's also cranes. They're so long and lanky, they're not supposed to be able. There's another bird I can't recall right now. Coffee. So when I hear things like, well, there have been no peer reviews, then make some studies. That is as a scientist, as a psychologist who doubts this thing, prove it wrong, debunk it. Don't look at things from the 40s. Scientific inquiries don't that was those were we were still recovering from all the fakers beginning to come out because we had technology start to come out. Hello Roswell, hello all this. Oh, we have microchips. Oh, we have things like MOSFETs and um well, all that stuff, right? Microelectronics. The big things got really small and you could hide under the desk and fool people, and people did that. Not low tech, not even high tech, but medium tech, just something to make a noise. Um, Things like vibration motors, right? That are very small. They weren't around for a long time. They were always very big. Well, they learned to miniaturize stuff. So those tests that were done back in the 40s, well, first you were using methods that now need to be updated. Run those tests again. Run them again. You don't need to look at something that is 60 years old plus and say, this is the conclusion, right? When you have more information, you have new information. So it might be time to run those tests again to see what did you miss anything? Our methods have gotten sharper and clearer. We want the truth. And they are both at the same time accusing the naysayers, the people who are saying this is magical mumbo jumbo and they're all lying. They're accusing all the people involved of lying, making stuff up, and that's not their kids. They don't really know how to lie about that kind of thing. How are they getting information? They're saying all this stuff. Well, it hasn't been peer reviewed. It hasn't been done in a laboratory. Well, there you go, Mr. Science. Mr. Scientist, provide that evidence. Prove it wrong or prove it right. One or the other. Don't go publicly and say, we know this isn't right when you don't. You don't, just because no one's proven it right before, what's changed? I don't think we've ever looked at autism like this. Looked at people, this particular demographic, nonverbal or mostly nonverbal autistic people. They've never been given a chance to really shine. Okay. A lot of most of society looks at these people as broken. They're not. They look at them as hindrances and stunted. They are not. They are just speaking, communicating using different parts of their brains than we do. What are they going to contribute? Well, now, Mr. Scientist, now it's on you to go find that out. Okay. Don't just come out saying this is false. It's been proven in the 30s and 40s. We need more information. You need more information. I got all the information I need because I have done this, not the hill, but I've done other things. Okay. Oh, okay. Gonna look at that. I really get wound up about this because I was looking at the opposing videos today. You know, they're talking about this is doing damage to the autistic community. Okay, what you're saying is something that can only help these kids get treated better is bad. That's the flip side of what you're saying. We should continue to ignore them, continue to treat them like broken people, and not use this as an excuse to help them. That's pretty heartless sounding. Okay. That sounds like very dark side of these scientists. Okay, well then let them do their thing. And if you're curious, do some experiments, do some research. Don't just look at other people's stuff. Go get your own boots on the ground and see what you can find out, right? I don't like that aspect of science where uh, people get put down. When I started my degree in computer networking, I was very enthusiastic and I loved this stuff, right? Because I was like intent on making the refrigerator talk to the toaster, talk to the TV. This is before smart anything. Talk to the TV, talk to my watch, right? I want all the sensor information. And there was this guy in a GameStop, and he just talked down to me. And I did not like that. I wrote a paper. It was a social media paper. It wasn't like a white paper. Um, I've got it. It's out on the internet somewhere. I called it networking and the arrogant ass. And that person, he's not the only one that's ever talked down to me about this, right? And after I got some experience, got my degree, and saw the new people come in, I'm like, I never talked down to them. I was like, you're going to have such a great time. If you like this, you're going to have so much fun doing this with the games and networking. And they seem to get excited about it. And I'm glad. I'm very glad that happened. Okay. Coffee. All right. Okay, Joe. I'm looking at your comment. My camera is seeing me, right? I don't want to take up the whole chat, but I just won't go near my cemetery at night still, even if it's peace and quiet. I'll just be like, "Hey, how you doing?" That's about it. Me too. That's what I do. And that's one of the experiences I had was in the cemetery. I've told it here, and you all know it. If you haven't, please go to go to those that other show. I did it. I think I retold it 3 times because I had to make sense of it. And there was mental talk going on, which is one of the reasons I am bringing this topic up of the telepathy tapes, because I don't know these kids. I don't know the doctors and the psychologists and the parents involved. I don't know them. But at the very least, going back to this idea that these people are being exploited, they're not. Let them do them. You do you, and you can continue to ignore them. Go ahead, science. You can continue to ignore them if you want. They're going to do it anyway. Just like every big breakthrough industry or whatever said, oh, that can't be done. That's impossible. And yet they did it anyway. Well, that's what these guys are going to do. They're going to continue doing it anyway without your blessing. They don't need your blessing. Just like us here at the Quantum Show, and all the shows linked below. Every mainstream, most everybody. Oops, sorry. Most everybody thinks we're crazy. We need meds, or our meds are wrong. And well, they stay away. They go away. They don't bother us. They let me at in my areas. Either they probe me for information, because I do have some, just not a whole lot, and I don't have hardware. Oops, I don't have a lot of hardware to go with it. Like, I don't have a spaceship. I don't have a selfie with an alien. I don't have any of that. Um, but I have my experiences, because I was taken out of here and put over there, except for the cemetery and the haunted girl. Those are, well, the things that happen. I thought I had dash cam footage of me jumping on the interstate. It didn't. I looked at it. There was nothing there, and I was like, man, the camera went with the car. I'm the one who realized the realities were different. And these guys, okay, now I'm going to wrap up the naysaying science by saying, hey, man, hey, y'all, do your own research. Don't rely on the research of others. Look into Project Stargate. I know it's scary. I know. Go to a haunted asylum. Go check out what these people are talking about. And try not to let your heads explode, please. We kind of want you here. So don't just dismiss without doing the work. And don't go to the psychic on the street corner that has a store, because I guarantee you they will not see you coming. Okay. Those guys, the ones that psychic here, there's one next to a tire shop. I have resisted the urge for years to go in there and say, hey, why didn't you tell me I was going to get a flat tire? I resisted that urge. I don't want to do that, because it doesn't help anybody. Also, so that's what I've got to say to the scientific community. Do your own research. Don't rely on others. New information is being presented. Don't blow it off. Okay? I really hope people share this right at the 33-minute mark, or the 30-minute mark. I want people to share, and I want people to see this needs to be taken seriously. No one's listening to the shadow band little quantum show. That's okay. I'm still going to say it. So that's what I'm going to say about the science blowing off this new information. I want to go back to the kids relating to my own experience. Okay. Let me, okay. This is a good topic. I've been diving into this one. Okay. A lot of people are out there trying to disprove it, but they're not disproving it. They're just saying what other people have said without taking any new information into account. Oh, you're on a watch list? Me too. Oh, by the way, all my former top secret military buddies, say happy birthday and Merry Christmas to your sniper. Don't miss. Oh, Joe says, oh, well, the thing is, watch. If I go this way, it will kind of track, right? But I see, and I did. I don't know. I can't debunk it. I can't prove or disprove, because I've got a face tracker. There may be a face over there. Last week was cool because I went, hello, welcome to the show. And I went, and it followed over here. But it follows, I think it, I don't know. But that's that. And okay, Aussie Boss is saying, like I should have. Thank you, manager. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're here. You're quantum. Share this show particularly. Put me out on Twitter and tag autism and autism awareness, please. That's the only. It seems like Twitter is where it's at nowadays. All this other social media, it doesn't matter. So I might make some shorts or edit some shorts out of this. We'll see. Okay. And it sounds like certain parties, they're fearful. They don't want to lose funding for their research and their science that may become defunct, right? They don't want that to happen. So they keep new information out. That's mainly why, because of mad capitalism. Not because it isn't true, but they don't want to be proven wrong. They don't want to lose money. It's financial, really. Mm. Okay. Going back in the chat, Tim is saying science is a system of prediction making that has proven results. But as to the scientific methodology that's used to get there, that's a different problem to take on. Right. And when new evidence shows itself, you don't ignore it because of scientific method and the morals and ethics of being in a science field. You don't want to have bad information and say this is good information when you haven't proven it. You don't have any research. You haven't done the research. That's why I'm like, y'all need to do some of them peer review studies. Look at Project Stargate. Look at the Majestic stuff. Okay. Why does that even exist? Look at the CIA released files over the past 5-10 years. They have released a lot of that stuff. And you can go and look at it. Go ahead. Nothing's stopping you except your own damn hubris, right? Picard. Okay. Yeah, little reference there. Yeah, I think I'm almost caught up. Yeah, YouTube. YouTube is the social media now. Put me on Twitter. Put me on Twitter. Go ahead. I've already put me on Twitter. And I know I have my lurkers. Shout out to all my lurkers. Oh, shout out to all my agents and aliens watching. Like and subscribe. If you're here, you're definitely quantum. You were quantum before you got here. So these kids they were talking about divinity. How do they know about this stuff? And how are their sets of information matching each other? They know what the other one is saying, what they're doing. And the kid that passed away, he is still in contact with all of his friends. I know I said that. And these guys have done the Kai Dickens and her crew, her people who are cooperating with her, they have done the most rigorous testing that they possibly can. They cover they don't cover their eyes because a lot of them don't like touching, right? They take out TVs, reflective surfaces. The people have gone to other rooms and they've been no one can see the prompts. Whether double blind studies and triple blind studies, one hands one an envelope, another person hands it to the administrator. The administrator reads a question, has no idea why they're reading the question or whatever's on their envelope, right? And they give an answer and they take it back and they match it up. 95% plus, that is unheard of. Every scientific, accepted, mainstream accepted experiment has been 50-50, right? Officially, it's 50-50. Well, they're also not taking into account remote viewing. And they're not taking a lot of stuff into account. They say churches with congregations, they say that's not scientific. Well, what is happening? They won't look at it. They won't look at that as an example, as a comparator. That's something else they won't look at. How can people get together and have the Holy Spirit? Now I'm talking about a mainstream gospel church, right? How can they all get together, have a big experience if there's not some kind of shared consciousness? Now, in the church, it's called faith, right? And that is not provable that they're aware of yet. These kids, may give them an observable media to prove or disprove faith once and for all, right? When faith happens, what's going on? How are these people able to chant with each other with no books? That's happened. Okay. And welcome, Foglog123. Yeah, Twitter can be quite toxic. I don't blame you, but he's saying I deleted the blue bird. Yep, that's Twitter or X, whatever. It can be toxic. That's why I filter everything. I only follow a few people. I don't look at my For You feed. I don't do any of that because all they want to do to us, even here on YouTube, is they want to get us angry. They want views and clicks, and unfortunately, reactive dark side stuff does that. Car crashes, people fighting, bad cops caught on tape. You know, the bad side of humanity, and much more, much more. Oh, sorry. But these kids, man, I tell you, these kids are showing their people that something is going on, and I can vouch for them. Okay, I've experienced it. Most of us have experienced that stuff too. We don't know what to call it. Well, I know what to call it, but a lot of us don't know what to call it. I can't talk to anybody at work about this stuff except one person. I'm making friends with him, and we are on the same page. But he is interested in it, like somebody who watches Ancient Aliens. As far as I know, I'm still getting to know him, and but most everybody up there. Let me tell you something that happened to me one time. I was in the army, and I was brand new in the army. I was at Chapel One. I we had just finished having services, and after the service we had fellowship, and they called it the fellowship hall, obviously, right? It was one of the buildings that I was in charge of cleaning and locking and observing, right? Well, there were four of us chaplains assistants attending the administrative stuff, the cleaning, the going and getting drinks, empty cups, clean as we go, because yeah, you get any big group of people, they're going to make a mess no matter how well intentioned they are. Okay. So we were there doing what we were doing, and I had just laid out some cookies on a tray to take out to put on the table. I got the cookies ready. I was getting them. I went up like that. Now I'm in a back room, shielded from everyone, right? Okay. All those people went into my head with all their chatter all at once, and it just made me dizzy. It made me a little bit nauseous. And I was like, I just dropped the tray of cookies. There was four of us there, so somebody else took it out there, right? I dropped the tray of cookies, and I'm like, I gotta go outside. And they're all looking at me like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, Meanwhile, I'm hearing all these voices in my head. This happened, okay? And then I took about 10 minutes. I calmed myself down, walked around up and down the sidewalk a little bit, right? I'm supposed to be at work, but this was an incident, right? And that's when I got the song. That's when I figured out, how do I stop this from happening? And I got a Led Zeppelin song stuck in my head for 2 years. It was maddening, but it was constant, and it wasn't the massive chatter from 100 different voices at once. I was able to clear my mind, get out. Now, this is not a cluttered place. A pack, it's all spread out, or at least it was. It was a parade field. What I was looking at at the time when I walked outside were groundhogs running around in the little playground, parade field, whatever. And it was very calming. Listening to the wind, it helped. And I went in, and they said, my buddies, my coworkers were all like, "Are you okay?" Now, this one girl asked me, "Are you okay? What happened to you?" And they were thinking I had like a stroke or something. I don't know. And I was like, "You know what happened?" And I told them. And the girl looked at me. She had no head for this stuff. Okay. Alan, if you ever want to get out of the Army, tell them that. And you know what? That's not what would have happened. Project Stargate. They would have said, okay, yeah, you're going to get out of the Army. You're going to go into Majestic now. We've been looking for people like you, and you have a contract. You're ours now. Area 51. Oh, man. I'm glad I didn't tell anybody. I'm glad I didn't tell anybody because it was that era when they were looking for people. They never stopped looking for people. When people come up and they have abilities, they don't go out looking for them, but when they pop up in the ranks, they get transferred. And this is not a Men in Black story, but for a long time I resented that girl for saying that because I was like, man, it's not a crazy thing. It isn't. It's an ability. But I didn't know how to really express myself. So I didn't fight her about it. I just gave her a dirty look and went back to work. Because it was 1994. If I'd have said this to anybody, especially in my command, right? The only people I had to turn to were the chaplains. And everybody knew about this weird stuff, okay? Everybody in the military knows that this stuff has happened in the past. And if they don't, they're burying their heads in the sand, okay? They're denying it. But if I said anything back in the day about hearing thoughts of 100 people, they wouldn't have kicked me out. They wouldn't have, what do they call it, Section 8 or whatever it is, mental disability. No, they would have recruited me into some Area 51 Project Stargate stuff. I'm glad I didn't say nothing. And I did not like that girl after that. My coworker, I did not like her after that because it's like she wanted me to feel bad about that and fit in. Well, that has never been me. I've never fit in, right? Never. And this was one more thing. Another thing that happened. This was strange. I've never mentioned this because it was a small one, right? I was working at that same place and they work was not open yet, but we had just finished doing PT, physical training in the morning, early mornings, like 5 a.m. And I was next to my office, and my two NCOs. Now, I was next to my office. I was crouched down now in my light gray PT uniform, right? Light gray against a red brick building next to a green bush. My two NCOs in my chain of command walked right past me, did not see me. I don't know why. I was just chilling there. So I stood up and they walked in the door to my main office. I walked in right behind them and they were both shocked to see me there. I don't know what happened. Okay. I was not a regular installment beside the door. Okay. In light gray sweats on the sand, which is brown. That particular sand was dark brown, red brick building next to a green bush. I stuck out like a sore thumb, but they did not see me at all. And I walked up and I startled both of them like crazy. That was another thing. A lot of stuff, there was a lot of self discovery happening at Chapel One. Okay. When I was back there in 94, 95. And stop fog log is I'm thinking you're listening. Okay, let's see here. Let me just start showing, right? I saw someone get stuffed in a van today. Well, that's just remember it, write it down. I believe you. I believe you. Stopped the police. Did you tell them? And he says, "What's going on here? What the F is going on here?" Said, "Move along, move along. Nothing here. Move along." Yeah, Joe. Yeah. Uh It's true, because you got weird, and what the what? But this is why I can relate to these kids' experience that they're relating. You know, they're talking about on these blogs. These people are doing the research. They're not being exploited. Okay, they're not. It actually costs these people money to do that. They have not offered to sell me a T-shirt, sell me a book. To watch them was free on YouTube. There are, you know what they did? She even said it in the blogs. We're not out to make profit on this, but just to make it not cumbersome or burdensome, they turned on ads on YouTube. That's not a lot. That's not a lot, okay? That really isn't a lot. So they're not exploiting these kids. And I just refuse to entertain that, because now I see what I see where the scientists are coming from, but they need more information. This particular experiment has not been run. The strenuous conditions have never been set like this. Okay. There, and oh man, even observable phenomena. And at the very least, these kids are feeling better about themselves. They're being treated better. And why stop that? Huh? Why stop that from happening? If someone doesn't want to partake in it, then don't. No one's forcing them to do it. So I say again, I hate to revisit it, but this is the follow-up show to last week. Last week, I was starting it, and it's amazing. And I was kind of like on the level with Ross Coulthart and Joe Rogan. And let me tell you something about my facial recognition turned off. Hold on. It read my hand wrong. Okay, it's back on. Yeah, here we go. That's what the Chinese people make me do to turn it back on, y'all. It's not. It's what they make me do. But yeah, last week was I discovered it. And let me tell you, Ross Coulthart has no excuse as to say that he's never heard of anything like this. It can't be real. You've got Wolverine. He's from there. The actor is from there. You've got Wolverine. You know about the X-Men. You cannot say that you've never heard of any of this stuff being real. You've got Aborigine talking about star people and sky people. Where you been, Ross? Okay. And Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan, looking at his show, his link will be in the show in the description below, as well as Ross's show. So later Ross is on News Nation, and Joe Rogan has his own thing going, right? Both links will be in the description after the show. So I had some pictures. Let me go ahead and show what I was. Yeah, camera. Okay. And in case no one knows who these people are, I wanted to. I don't have very many pictures, right? Ross Coulthart on the left, and this is the one of the doctors. I honestly don't remember her name. No, I don't remember her name. His show is called Reality Check. Well, he's actually doing the community a service by bringing this up. So is Joe Rogan. Okay. Now that is Ross's show. And this is Kai Dickens. This is her on Joe Rogan. No, not Joe Rogan, but on Ross Coulthart. Joe Rogan's show does not have a nice red curtain in the back. What is it? I might have a visitor. Okay. I may have a bit. The camera is not. I'm not moving crazy. Okay. You can be here. It's okay. I like it. They like it. Okay, this is Kai Dickens. She is the one who started this whole ball rolling. And I believe this may be the hill they are envisioning. This is the Windows XP default desktop. So, but I don't, that's a guess on my part. Okay. That is a guess on my part. I can't say that for sure, but it makes sense to me. So, y'all, I've been up all day. I had everything, I had to cram all my weekend chores into today because I got to work tomorrow. Um, let me go ahead and wrap this up. There may or may not be a panel depending on this is an unexpected show. Yes, camera. Was an unexpected show. I'm glad everybody showed up. Didn't have as big a crowd as normal, but that's okay. It's not Saturday. And hey, Woo Riders, quantum level infinity. I want that to be an infinity symbol, but I don't know that. Oh, it's a scroll up. It's a max volume. Awesome. Okay. I'm watching the camera dance back and forth. If anybody can see, do y'all see anything? Let me know if you see anything. It happened at 56 minutes and the camera started going back and forth. So if you see something, say something. Just like in all my haunted exploration videos. If you see something, say something. And oh, about last week's show, Tim was saying some freaky stuff was going on with my camera. It was for you only, man. It didn't show up on the replay. I looked at it. Maybe I need a bigger screen because all I got is my desktop over here. But it didn't show up for me. But that's okay. It showed up for you, and that was meant for you. That's how we do that. That's how we go with it because I have a lack of information. I'm not going to dismiss any possibilities. Science, don't dismiss possibilities because you haven't tested on them yet. Anyway. Whew. Okay, we're almost at an hour. I will get more coffee. Me and Amy are out of coffee again, and it is time. Thanks everybody for being here. If you are here, you are quantum. Hit like and subscribe. That includes all the aliens and agents lurking in the background and any spirits. If you can hit like and subscribe on your, I don't know how you do it over there, but apparently it's doable because I've had ghosts in my audience before. Everybody, that is the Quantum Show. First hour solo. I am going to go get coffee and I'm going to continue and commence pushing buttons. Thanks everybody for being here. Check the show tomorrow description for all the links that have been here. And thank you, Renee, and thanks everybody for the well wishes. And yeah, watch the telepathy tapes, okay? Aussie, I'm not late this time, Aussie. I'm not over the clock. I'm not over this time. I see your red light. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I will take care of that. Pushing buttons, keeping it quantum. See you in the panel. Out of here. Keeping it quantum. Pushing buttons. Pushing buttons.